you wear my Levi's jeans. Through the river with you dance. Tearing down the barrel of his gun. Yes, he shot me down. I died and someone brought me back to life, but never to my senses. Pounce on that shit, can pounce on that shit, can.
Hello. What's up? Welcome in. I want to talk about something that nobody really talked about. Before we get into that, I want to talk about something that just happened yesterday. I found out this morning, late last night. I haven't seen the statement from Ms. Bernice King yet. But MLK Day and Juneteenth is removed from the list of the National Park free holidays and replaced with his birthdays. Okay, so the holidays ain't gone. He's trying to remove them, but when you try to go to parks for Black people to get in free, it's been replaced. So I want to let y'all know, since this is where we're going and what they're trying to do, I will be talking about some Black history and uncovered truths. And y'all gonna see a lot of people talking about it as well. So just get ready for it. The Trump administration is facing backlash after the Department of the Interior announced major changes to the list of fee-free days at the national park. And this is why the Department of Interior was like, they didn't want to incorporate with nobody, because now you trying to change things and making it to where they receive backlash and you don't. But he is receiving backlash. In 2025, visitors could enter for free on MLK Day and Juneteenth, Veterans Day, and the anniversary of the Great American Outdoors Act. However, MLK Day and the Juneteenth have now been removed from the 2026 list. Instead, Constitution Day and Flag Day will be also being the President Donald Trump's birthday. The changes follow Trump's earlier pause on a certain days of the remembrance as part of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program. Tyree Moore, Executive Director of Soul Trek Outdoors, called the moving alarming, says removing free entry days on MLK Day and Juneteenth sends a troubling message about our national park, who our national parks are for. However, Secretary of the Interior Doug Bergman defended the change. President Trump's leadership also put American families first. That is a lie. These policies ensure the U.S. taxpayers who already support the national park system continue to enjoy affordable access. So here's the thing: nobody's gonna go. Nobody's gonna go. What's gonna be taking a stand is nobody's gonna go. Nobody's gonna go. I hope y'all know that. All right, let's get into some facts. Y'all know who this man is? Y'all don't know who this man is? This is Juan Garrido. Hey, Laces. This is the man that is from Congo, a Hispanic Congolese man that found America. Was it Columbus? This is Juan. This is Juan. This is the man that helped find America. The black man that helped find America. Mm-hmm. I looked it up. This is Juan. Juan. Let's get into Juan. So Juan was born 1480 to 1550. He's an Afro-Spaniard of Congo, Oregon, from the conquistador known as the first documented Bantu person in what would become the United States. And it wasn't supposed to be called the United States. It was called something else. Let me see if I can share it. United States wasn't even a name. He was born in the Kingdom of Congo in West Central Africa. He went to Portugal as a young man. He converted to he was converted into Catholic as a Catholic. He chose the Spanish name Juan, Handsome John. He is the first known free African to arrive in North America. He participated in the Spanish conquest of Puerto Rico by Juan Ponce de Leon, Cuba by Diego Velázquez, and the expeditions to Florida by Ponce de Leon. By 1519, Garrido had joined the Cortez forces and invaded present-day Mexico, presented the siege of Tenochtitlan. He married and settled in Mexico City. So now I'm going to play some videos. This is him. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me take his picture down. Now I'm going to play some videos. So no, it wasn't Christopher Columbus. He wasn't him. He also had help. But I'm going to play some videos from TikTok and let me explain. And then we're going to talk about Hawaii. I should have put Hawaii up here, but we're going to talk about Hawaii. And I just changed my thumbnail and my title later.
Meet the first Black documented person in America. Juan Garrido was an Afro-Spaniard conquistador known as the first documented Black person in what would become the United States. Born in West Africa, he went to Portugal as a young man, and converting to Catholicism, he chose the Spanish name Juan Garrido. Juan Garrido joined the Spanish expedition and arrived in Santo Domingo, which was known as Hispaniola, in about 1502. He participated in the invasion of present-day Puerto Rico and Cuba in 1508. In 1513, as part of Juan Ponce de Leon's entourage in search of gold, the expedition landed in Florida. He is the first known African to arrive in North America. By 1519, he had joined Cortez forces and invaded present-day Mexico. He married and settled in Mexico City, where he was the first known farmer to have sowed wheat in America. He continued to serve with the Spanish forces for more than 30 years, including expeditions to West Mexico and the Pacific. And that's too factual. Peace. Meet the first Black documented person in America.
Juan Garrido is considered the first documented Black person to step foot in the United States. But unfortunately, that's as good as the history is going to get on him. He was a conquistador. He went on expeditions with Ponce de Leon to take over Puerto Rico, Cuba, and even establish settlements in Hispaniola. And he later joined forces with Hernan Cortez and helped him in laying siege and taking over the city of Tenochtitlan. But there were a lot of conquistadors of African descent that we rarely, if ever, talk about. People like Estevanico, or as his contemporaries knew him, El Negro el Árabe, and also Juan Valiente. Now, a lot of people think that the individuals that took part in this were enslaved. They weren't. They were just as bad as their white Spanish counterparts, carrying out the same brutal actions of colonization and ethnic cleansing. Juan Garrido is considered.
All right. Now that's who this is. I wanna. But you really don't. But that's how that happened. I want to put more information about him. But yeah, he was one of the first people. He was born in Congo. He went on an expedition. I mean, his conquest. But it's not much about him. But I do want to put on how I should have put Oh, that's who I forgot to add on my thumbnail was Hawaii. So y'all remember how I told y'all Hawaii was not, I repeat, excuse me, was not supposed to be part of the United States. No. Hawaii wasn't supposed to be part of the United States. So there was a woman who was over Hawaii, and how they overthrew the Hawaiian kingdom. Hawaii wasn't supposed to be part of it. I'm gonna have to put her pic. Let me see if I can put her picture up here. So in 1893, the Kingdom of Hawaii, a national organized sovereign nation, was overturned by a coup by, hold on, let me pull this up. Because I told y'all how now they doing Sudan, how they tried to, well, now the way they trying to take, well, Queen of Monterey which is now, Sudan was Kush, which is part of Africa, going into North Egypt, and how they took over North Egypt by unaliving Cleopatra and sitting here killing her bloodline, to where they're now sitting here, Sudan is going through the same thing because Queen of Kush, they still was trying to take over Sudan and she was not having it. Now, remind you, it was the Greece that was trying to take over. America wasn't even thought of yet. So imagine these people who historians came from, as you see, the UK flag in Greece before America became what it was coming over here, before they came to America, but they were going over there to Africa to try to take over, and they had a long fight. So now let's talk about how when America became America, they tried to take over British. I mean, not the British, because I see the British flag. They tried to take over Hawaii. And we finna talk about it. Hawaii wasn't automatically part of the United States, but an independent kingdom overthrown by American and European business interests in 1893 became a U.S. territory in 1898. So Hawaii got taken over between the U.S. and the U.K. And finally, a state in 1959. There was a long fight, with the U.S. Congress formally apologizing to the matriarch's overthrow in 1993, acknowledging, they had to apologize, because when we get into what the hell they did to that lady and how they locked her up and kept this woman locked up because they wanted her to sign over Hawaii, and how they did her, we're going to get into it. It was fucked up. America's fucked up. America always been fucked up. Acknowledging Native Hawaiian sovereignty was never relinquished. In 1893, overthrow the Kingdom of Hawaii, and an international recognized sovereign nation was overthrown by a coup led by the American and European businessmen with the support from the U.S. military force. The coup leaders established a republic extending for exiled by the U.S. After initial oppositions from the President Grover Cleveland, President William McKinley signed a joint resolution annexing exiling Hawaii as a U.S. territory. 1959, statehood. Yeah, we finna get into that. They apologized for what they did, an illegal overthrow. And I'm going to tell you how they did that illegal overthrow. I'm going to play a video. So this woman was fighting for Hawaii. The way they made her look, they had the Hawaiians, man, it was so bad to where they had the way they did the Hawaiians, man, was effed up. And the things that they did to take over. So imagine a country, and this is why I always say, with all this stuff going on, and now their leader that they have now is why America is getting their karma, because America has done a lot of things. Africa is on the list. We ain't getting to that yet because we're gonna take a trip to Rwanda since we want to take away free park days like black people don't matter. Yeah, I said it. And we're gonna get into other countries too. So you know what? I might be on here for 45 minutes. I wasn't gonna do a long one today, but we're gonna do a long one because if you want to sit here and not acknowledge who really built this country, let's have some fun. How about that? Let's have some fun. You out here being baby with a bottle. Let's get to it. You and your compadres.
Hawaii wasn't discovered, it was stolen. And everything you think you know about how it became
America.
part of the United States is a lie dressed up in leis and tourism brochures. Let's start with the fact that Hawaii was a sovereign nation. It had a constitution, international treaties, and recognition from world powers. By the mid 1800s, the Hawaii Kingdom had embassies in London and Paris. It wasn't just some remote island, it was a global player with its own monarchy and its own government. Then American business interests showed up. White sugar barons, mostly descendants of missionaries. They came for the land and they didn't want to play by Hawaii's rules. So what did they do? They staged a coup with help from the US Marines. In 1983, Queen Leleokalani was overthrown. She was trying to restore power to Native Hawaiians after years of political manipulation. So white settlers, backed by the US military, forced her to surrender at gunpoint, and then had the nerve to call themselves a provisional government. It wasn't provisional, it was a takeover. And she didn't go quietly. Leleokalani wrote petitions, made speeches, and begged US leadership to intervene and undo the coup. Over 38,000 Native Hawaiians signed in protest. But America didn't care, because by then the sugar was flowing, and soon, Pearl Harbor became a military asset. In 1898, the US illegally annexed Hawaii through a joint resolution, not a treaty, which it actually needed under international law. That annexation was never agreed to by the Hawaiian people. They were occupied, plain and simple. And what followed was decades of cultural suppression. The Hawaiian language was banned in schools. Sacred lands were seized. Children were punished for speaking the language of their ancestors. A nation was turned into a theme park.
The same thing that happened with slaves, remember? Oh, you can't speak your language or this and that when they brought them here. And some of them didn't even come. They came. So we're going to talk about Virginia. We're going to go to Virginia after this. I want to give y'all a pinpoint where I'm going. You couldn't speak it. Y'all know that tongue where you used to talk with the tongue and how they tried to abolish talk when we used to communicate. Y'all remember as kids we used to communicate with the tongue? That's something that stayed with us for years. And our parents used to be like, stop doing that. My granny tell me, please don't do that. And he said, why? He was like, just don't do that. And I'm like, why? Because they know that if we go out and do it, what it would be. We didn't know because we were kids. We were actually speaking a goddamn language when we did it, and then somebody else did it. We were speaking an African language. The whole entire time when we came and talked to our cousins and that right there, we were talking to our family. We were, and the cousin respond, and we were actually talking. And that was a way. Who, her? She don't look like the older version of Candy. But that was the way that we communicated. It was the clicking of the tongue. And they used to say, stop doing that. And I'm going to pull up why they want you to stop doing that and why it, when your grandparents used to tell you, don't do that, baby. Don't do that. I'm going to tell you why. If you a millennial or you grew up around that era and they'd be like, baby, don't do that. You used to be like, why? Just don't do that. And you do it in public and they'd be like, no, don't do that. I never understood that till now. We're going to play it after this.
And now, Hawaii is marketed as a paradise, but Native Hawaiians are being priced off their own land, watching million-dollar condos go up on stolen beaches. And the same government that occupied their kingdom still hasn't admitted it was wrong. So no, Hawaii wasn't added to the US. It was taken at gunpoint. Its queen was imprisoned. Its language was criminalized. Its people were silenced. And the only reason most Americans don't know that is because the truth doesn't sell hotel rooms. Hawaii wasn't discovered, it was stolen.
But you know what? I'm not, I'm going to say this. I'm not surprised because how they try to do Hawaii too. I'm not surprised. There was
This is a picture of the last queen of the
I'm
Hawaiian
gonna get
Kingdom,
into the Hawaiian
Queen
thing.
Liliuokalani.
If you go to Hawaii, they have like they call them an army. We gonna talk about it.
And because we are approaching the 130th anniversary of the illegal overthrow of the Queen and the Hawaiian Kingdom government, I want to shed some light on some historical figures of the time. And what better person to start with than the Queen herself? If you're new here, I'm Elijah Kalam McShane. I come from Oahu, and my content is all about spirit, consciousness, and culture in Hawaii. A lot of people don't realize how dignified our Queen was, and how she lived her life and led her country in the way of aloha. You see, this woman, in the face of her country being threatened by illegal overthrow, and the legacy and contributions that she had to inherit as a queen from the leaders of the Hawaiian Kingdom 100 years past, that on that day of the illegal overthrow, she was faced with a decision. You see, these men that were a part of this group of insurgents that came to overthrow her from her throne and abdicate her of her power, in partnership with the U.S. ambassador at that time, had authorized the protection of 300 U.S. Marines in front of Ali'i'olanihale. The Queen was faced with a decision at this time, and this decision was going to be the turning point of Hawaiian history. And this decision is the reason why we are still recognized as an independent country in international law. She chose peace with no bloodshed. You see, we cannot underestimate the power of this decision. If the Queen had chosen to engage in battle right then and there, she would have retaliated, and her actions would have been considered an act of war. An act of war upon who? An act of war upon the United States military. And she knew that this would give them legal grounds to potentially invade the Hawaiian Kingdom. But this woman instead, she chose aloha and petitioned the president at that time, Cleveland, and trusted that in her giving up her power temporarily, it would give time for proper investigation.
So when she gave it up temporarily, he snatched it from her and made it permanent. That was the fucked up part.
To prove her case to be correct. What was her case? Her case was that the overthrow was completely illegal and illegitimate. And that she would trust in the character and integrity of the United States, in being a Christian country, to uphold by their own values and do what is right. You can research the Blount reports and discover the result of this investigation. And you will also learn that this decision of peace was not only because the Queen had the spirit of aloha, but that she was politically educated. It is not her that broke the law. This is a picture of the last queen.
All right. So that is true. It wasn't her. She got a little backlash from that. Understood. And that's the sad part. It was something I wanted to talk about. Now I'm gonna do Queen Nzinga later because Queen Nzinga go with how I think I'll do that tomorrow. Go with how America became Christian and how certain Spaniards, honey, wanted America. We ain't gonna say their name to become a Christianized country and what they're trying to force it into now because they don't like different religions. So we're like, when people told us we were going backwards, they didn't lie, and history showed us that. And I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow. But I am gonna talk about how they overthrew some of these countries and what they found. But I do want to talk about, I'm gonna talk about the native tongue last. But America, okay, so let's be clear. There were Africans who were from the kingdom of Ndongo in the present-day Angola, and they came to Virginia in 1619. They were not slaves. Hold on. But they were here first. I'm trying to remember who had that TikTok video. Let's see. Here it is. Hey, Lyric.
How you can discover a place where the inhabitants are watching you arrive from the shore. There are actually many other mariners before Columbus that discovered America as well. Decades earlier, even eons earlier, many of these pre-Columbian explorers might have come from Africa. Columbus himself was aware that African mariners had preceded him. In his diary of his second voyage, Columbus...
I want y'all, when y'all have the chance, go. I don't know if I still got my Audible. There's a book called. I'm gonna give y'all two books that I've learned from another content creator. One is The Reason Why All This Truth Is In. It's called The Lies My History Teacher Told Me. Please read that book. Please read that book. The Lies My History Teacher Told Me. And the other book is I Ain't Human. Ain't I Not Human? It's by a black woman who was, it's the stories of a black woman who was a slave and how they mistreated her as a human. Please go read those books. It's very, very educational. There's a lot of books that are still out there that they're not putting into the school system, that they have taken out of the prison systems because they do not want them to know the truth. Please, y'all, go pick up these books.
Tells of how the natives of Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who had come in large boats from the south and southeast. Coincidence? I think not. No. In 1493, Columbus stole all he could see. Now, Columbus continued going around whimsically renaming every island he could find. That the origin of these many place names and botanical names in Mesoamerica actually sounded distinctly like other languages in Africa. The presence of certain plants that predated Columbus but originated in Africa. For example, the calabash bottle gourds on the Congo estuary. The Portuguese, like Captain Pereira, had heard that African traders were visiting Brazil in the mid-1400s. Islamic historian Amir Hajib reported that voyages west from Mali taken the Canary Current up and around, and then they go over they fall off the edge of the earth, and then they come back and they make landfall back again in Cape Verde. King Constantine Ravenous reported seeing blacks upon reaching the New World. Evidence, including pre-Columbian African skeletons, which have been found throughout the Americas. Now, dating between 800 BCE and 300 CE, they clearly feature three races, and it's depicting black and Indian allies and a battle against white invaders. In southeastern Mexico, there are 18 rock statues of heads up to 11 feet tall that are facing the ocean looking east. Now, archaeologists call them the Olmec and date from at least 900 BCE when they were mysteriously buried for some reason. The smallest one was 6 tons, so 6 to 50-ton blocks, to quarry them and carry them 75 miles away from the quarry, and then carve them and then erect them. Jose Megler Serrano, the archaeologist who first uncovered them, he's...
So when they came, let me give y'all the background of what I found out. When they came here, they were taught to survive off being civilians, because I'm going to go into Mansa Musa. I want y'all to see who that is. A lot of y'all heard, but y'all haven't heard the whole story. They were brought here for certain reasons. And I'm going to see what year that was while I'm sitting here listening to this and letting this play. That he reigned, because because he was a rich king over Malia. He had an empire with Mali Empire. And they were brought here to learn. Basically, I'm going to tell you what they were brought here to do. Hey, they were I had inch. Let me go back. So remember we talked about Egypt, right? Cairo, all them places, right? You know, Egypt and everything, Ghana, which is now Ghana Empire, all of that in Africa, Senegal, and all of that. So really they were brought here to basically, they were not slaves. They were not under capture. They were brought here to build and to do different things. So, and to learn and to make something of their own. Really, the goal was to basically spread out. And that was the goal. Then that's when you got, so Native Americans are all different. And we're going to talk about the truth of Pocahontas too. Oh yeah, y'all finna be surprised because Disney lied to us in the school because they didn't tell us her real age, which I'm like, really? They all made a thing together. So when we were told that it was Native, it wasn't just Native Americans, it was blacks. Everybody was supposed to live the way that it was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be like it is now. Do you understand me? They were minding their damn business. They were minding their business. So it was all together. And if y'all pay attention, I remember, I'll never forget when I learned about slavery, there was Native Americans as slaves. Don't let anybody lie to y'all. Native American Indians and blacks. There are Native American black Indians. I have met one in Atlanta. Please don't believe the hype that they try to sell. Child, I was mad. And just like somebody in this comment say McGraw failed us, he sure the hell did.
He pointed out that facial features look amazingly like African blacks. Look at how close this is. White people don't think that you could go this is closer compared to more than twice the distance that Columbus sailed. Which state is closest to Africa? Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah, geometry.
He's not lying. He's not lying. When I hear people say, oh, they didn't come. Yes, they did. Maine is Christopher Columbus went all the way around. They went from Maine, which is now Maine, because it was something else, from Africa to Maine. If you fly out, you go north, right? When you fly to get to where? That's why it's an 18-hour flight, because you have to go through customs. Now, if you didn't have to go through customs, you could fly over instead of hitting Turkey. You got to hit Turkey to go through their customs. Simple as that. But if you didn't have to hit Turkey to go through their customs, guess what you finna reach? You finna reach the pinpoint, that small little corner of, let me show y'all. Y'all finna be like, the fuck? He not lying. He not lying. We just go around that way because you got to go through customs. I mean, let me show you. So, okay. Can I move this out the way? Yes. Okay. Can we navigate? Yes, we can. Okay. Up north, New York. Let me share my screen. New York, because you have to fly through there, right? So look at the map. Tell you, because I looked at some flights I want to go, right? So they're going to fly, let's say you leave this area right here. And look at this. You're not lying. You're going to go to Senegal, Western Sahara, right? That's going to cut your 18 hours. But because they want you to go through, depends on where you're going, right? They want you to go through, I say that's about 14, 16 tops because the time change. See? Look at that. Look at the arrow. Look at that. You're not lying. But you got to go to Turkey, which is over in here somewhere. And then close to France and Portugal and Spain. And look at this. Look at where Portugal and Spain is right here. What's down from there? Where's Congo? That's a nice little travel to come from Congo. Well, they say all the cities are together. This is Rwanda. Oh, here we go. Botswana, South Africa area right here. Madagascar, all the islands, right? Africa pretty huge. It's nice. Angola, Nigeria. Nigeria is where they at now. But okay, let's talk about Burkina Faso and all of that who took their reign. Let's go there real quick. Hold on. Can I zoom in? I sure can. Here we go. So you have Ghana, which everybody going to. Everybody go to Cape de Verde, to visit or whatever. Burkina Faso took over. Benin, Togo. This is why they want to invade Nigeria. Hold on. Where's Sudan? This is Sudan. Remember we talked about it yesterday? Here's Ethiopia. This is South Sudan. This Sudan. Okay, so let's go into Kush and all of that. Okay, let's go back. We're doing a little history lesson. This Sudan, this is what Kush was over. That line is Egypt. Egypt is, don't let nobody tell y'all that Jesus ain't black and it wasn't black folks in Egypt. Here go your proof right here. He was brown. No, the fuck he wasn't, okay? Let me explain something. What's close to Egypt? What's all of this? Look at this. Look at this. Turkey right here. Greece right here. So when we go, because we want to go to Ghana and all of that, we got to go nice flight. This is Greece. Greece is right here. You don't imagine Greece trying to take over this and this, which was Israel, Jordan, all of that. Yeah, they wanted to take that and hit Saudi Arabia too. Egypt, Cairo. Now you telling me that Moses ain't do that walk? I'm just saying, from Cairo to Israel, and the whole Bible has been telling y'all the history for a moment of the walk. Nobody paid attention. Somebody told me, because this wasn't broke off back then. It wasn't all together. I said Africa and all that was connected together. Please don't play with me. I remember they took it out. Yeah, I don't give a damn. Now listen. Hopefully I don't get striked. Egypt and Sudan, remember we talked about yesterday, you had Cleopatra over here, right? She go across the water to Greece, right? Boop, 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 boop. Okay. To go see her man or whatever. Now, between that, we're going to go into Queen Sheba. Queen Sheba used to go see her man in Israel. Nice little long ride. Boop, 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 boop. Across that water. Okay. This was a Queen of the Nile. All right. Now, Queen Amarnarenes was in Sudan, which is north part of Sudan. I don't know if she was with south or north. Now, as you guys know, as I told y'all before, Sudan is under attack and they are trying to take over. Now, I just told y'all go check out that live yesterday. I did a breakdown about how they still was trying to take Sudan because it was things in Sudan that they wanted. Okay. He goes Sudan. Let's see what Congo. Oh, yeah, he go Congo. So the Republic of Congo, they trying to take over. They take over too. Here you go. You got two difference. Republic of the Congo and Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's two different Congos. Now, Rwanda is also being talked about. Why Rwanda being talked about? Oh, we're going to get into that later too. Because as I told you, South Africa at the bottom. Because as I told you, the history of Africa. Look, so the goal is to go through here like this. If you go through here like this, you get to here where they're trying to go. Bingo. And if you get to here where African Americans are going in history, you go here. I want to tell you something. When you get the chance, go visit Ghana. Ghana tells you that Ghana did not know that their people were going to be sold as slaves until later. They didn't find that place that they kept for history until later. They say they were told that when they meet up there at that, they call it the point of no return now. And they say when they meet up there, we thought they just board the ships and go help because, as I'm telling you, when we get to the first Africans here and what they did from Singhalese, which is now there, that now, right? Because we're going to get to Manamusa in a minute. I'm showing y'all that map. We're going to Congo and how they did everything. They say, hey, they can help. They're trying to invade. Let's get them. No, that was a lie. Telling y'all, bro. I've been attention to all of this. We've been lied to. We've been lied to. We've been lied to. And I'm gonna play how to vote. We've been lied to, y'all. We've been lied to. I don't care how you flip it. We've been lied to.
These are 10 African firsts that you may not know, but should. So let's see how well you know your roots. Who built the world's first university that's still operating today? Was it Huda Shawari, Fatima Al-Fihri, or Yah Santwa? The answer is Fatima Al-Fihri. She founded the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez, Morocco in 859 AD. Now, this is recognized by UNESCO as the world's oldest continuously operating degree-awarding university. What's the first known mathematical artifact in human history discovered in Africa? Is it the Ishango bone, the Rosetta Stone, or the Benin bronze? The answer is the Ishango bone, found near Lake Edward in Congo, this 20,000-year-old area. The Funa canoe, which is over 8,000 years old, is among the oldest known boats ever found, proving Africa's early mastery of watercraft. Which African civilization created the continent's first advanced
I remember a Nigerian told me, we don't care about that. We don't, you know, we don't get to touch those minerals and stuff anyway. Baby, if you want to do the history y'all held in that motherfucker, you'll understand hell now. Child. Mm, mm, mm. All right. So let's get into Manna Musa. Okay. So I never heard of him until I got older, till high school. You heard what I said. I didn't hear about this man till high school. That's the sad part. Manna Musa, how many minutes we in? Okay, well, we could stay a little longer. He was Mansa of the Mali Empire, and he reached his territory peak during his reign. He was one of the richest black man. So when y'all hear black people rich, oh, they do this and they do, he was the richest black man. The richest black man. The richest. The richest. Richer than anybody. He was inconceivable rich. There was really no way to put an accurate number in his wealth. It is known for the manuscript chart. This is why I be like, black riches isn't bad. Being black and rich is not bad. It's not. It's not. Y'all made rich. It's not. It's not. Some people don't want it. That's fine, because the way that it has been depicted in media and things of how being that is bad. But if you really look at what he did with it, you'll understand. Okay. He was regarded as a Mali's power and prestige. But he was, she don't make me lost train of thought. He was very, very rich. And he controlled his rich and wealth. And this is why when y'all be like, why them black people sit with them folks? Why they do, let me tell you something. I'm gonna explain to you right here what he did. He didn't do business. He didn't do business like that. And if you look at some of these billionaires, black billionaires, and how the right ones are trying to do it the right way, in a sense, I'm going to tell you where they got it from. They read. It is known from local manuscript and travel accounts that Mansa Musa wealth came I can't read today, principally from the Mali Empire's control and tax Hold on, where we at? Taxing of the trade in salt from northern regions, and especially from gold pan and mine in Bambok and Boro to the south. Over a very long period, Mali had amassed a large reserve of gold. Mali is also believed to have been involved in a trade in many goods such as ivory, slaves, spices, silks, and summer mats. However, presently little known about the extent or mechanics of these trades. Now, it's not the trade that y'all think it was. Oh, they were slaves. No, it wasn't slaves like that. Hey, Terry, thank you. That let's say I don't even think nobody was slaves, but I think they just put stuff like that. I don't think it was slaves, but I really don't. To me, sometimes I feel like they just add that in. At the time of Musa's ascension to the throne, Mali consisted largely to the territory of former Ghana Empire. We talked where Ghana was, okay? Ghana is right there. They took their back, right? Well, Ghana didn't, but you know. Now part of Guyana, Senegal, Morante in the Gambia, in the modern state of Mali. Musa went to Hajjaj to Mecca in 1324, traveling with enormous entourage and a vast of gold. En route, he spent time in Cairo, where his lavish gift giving is said to have noticeably affected the value of gold in Egypt. Cairo was one of the first countries in Africa to where women, and Greece was upset about this because women and men can be rich. Women were seen as their equal. They wasn't seen as just their wife. They were equals. So women can drink, talk, spend money, do all of that. And the Greece women had to learn to sit pretty, look cute. You don't say nothing and hush. That was the thing. That was how it was for those women. See, the women couldn't work; it was dependent on the men. But the women in certain women in Africa, they didn't have to depend on the men like that. They worked with the men, so it was different. It's a different thing, you know. Now they're saying, "Oh, I want to be soft, but I got to be soft with the right person." It makes sense because they wasn't just soft to anybody and let anybody talk to them in any kind of way. They was like, "Hey, if it comes to a point that my husband can't lead, I'm going to lead." So when we talked about Cleopatra, she didn't have a pharaoh. But if you look back on some of these movies and some of the things that came out in some history, pharaohs consulted with their wives. They didn't consult with others. When they needed advice on certain things, wives, Nefertiti, she was a great queen because she basically was generous. There are some women pharaohs. We'll talk about that later. Not today. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Maybe. We'll do that Monday. We might do it tomorrow. We'll see how everything go. Number of his wealth. It was known for the local trans. Okay, I read that. Which is his lavish gift in golden. Let me go where I messed up at. Let me go where I missed. Hold on. And gathered attention into the wider Muslim world. Musa expanded the borders of the Mali Empire, in particular incorporating the cities of Gaio and this is a city. Oh, that's nice. When you want to live off the grid, that's a nice little village. These villages are still there today, near the Niagara River, Timbuktu, into its territory. He sought closures, ties with the rest of the Muslim world. All right. So the way he did it was, hey, just like anything with social studies, hey, let's go and let's make some money by doing the trade. Simple.
England, the place with the plague? Is it even safe there? I heard you people don't even wash.
Monster says England. I heard it's nice.
I wash. My mum makes me. Made me.
I heard in England that you boil your beef and eat it with no spice.
True.
Ugh, so backward. So backward. No offense. I don't mean to offend, but ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The muscle says, huh?
Ugh.
Oh.
No.
Who
It's
did
all right,
this?
Bala. You only need to repeat me in front of strangers, not in front of friends.
Does that mean I'm a friend?
Of course, Kevin. Tomorrow, will you ride with me as we head to Cairo to meet with the Sultan?
Yes.
Yes. He said yes.
Yes.
He said yes.
Yes. He said yes.
Yeah, I just thought that was cute. Okay, let's go.
The richest man of all time was Mansa Musa, an African emperor of the 14th century. He ruled the Mali Empire, which in that era controlled the largest gold reserves in the world. Gold was so abundant that people didn't even use it among themselves as everyday currency. Instead, their money was salt, rare and precious.
Africa was never poor. Africa was never poor. Don't let people think Africa, oh, Nigeria's poor. Is it Africa? Let me tell you something. They're never poor. Poor.
In the desert. But let's return to Mansa Musa himself, who became a legend in 1324 when he set out on his pilgrimage to Mecca. In a lavish procession unlike anything the world had ever seen, marched thousands of soldiers and servants.
And another thing, so when they came over here to do that, they wasn't going to be poor. Everybody was supposed, they were making it rich for every person of color to be rich. But do as you please.
Along with camels carrying as much as 9 tons of gold, which Musa freely gave to the poor and spent along the way. But in Cairo, he handed out so much gold that he collapsed the Egyptian economy. The market was flooded, the value of gold plummeted, and inflation lasted for more than 10 years. He died in 1337, leaving Mali at the height of its power. In history, he is remembered not only as the richest man who ever lived, but also as one of Africa's greatest rulers. The
I'm gonna let this illustration go, and then we're gonna jump into some other stuff before I get off of here. So most of these countries were Muslim and Christianity. Most of them, I think, Ethiopia. Ethiopia, I showed y'all where. Did I show y'all where that was? Became like Christian and Muslim. Yeah, I showed y'all. Because the one true thing in the Bible was Queen Sheba, and we're gonna talk about her tomorrow, and how King David, they don't put this in there. Remember how she became his wife and they had kids. They didn't put in there that King, was it King David? Hold on, let me make sure. Because now listen, they kept certain pages in that book. That's why I say King James. Y'all go watch the video about King James. Don't get that. Don't get that. But then it's like history is in the Bible, but how can I say it? History kind of in the Bible, but it's not for telling everything. You feel what I'm saying? Let's put it that way. It's not telling everything. I say that in a good tone. So I understand why my history teacher put certain things in there. So when I hear people say, oh, well, if you look at the history of Jesus, the history, not the Bible, the history, and I want my Christians to do this, look at the history of those places in the Bible and those names. The history of it, meaning the history of the characters in the Bible, and look at Moses, Sheba, Jesus, who else? Mary. Look at the history part of it, because there is history of it. You're going to be like, wait a minute. Hold on. I want to get my thought of why they did that and why it was given to us. Okay. It's a lot. Because Queen Sheba, most women in Solomon, that's what it was. because she took her journey. It was Solomon. I'm sorry, not David. It was Solomon. I take that back. Was it Solomon? You sure? Hold on now. Yeah, because King Solomon asked for wisdom. And it was what he did to her, from what I heard, that where she came from, her tribe, it was, and this is not Sheba. I'm really sick of it. When they did the movie Queen Sheba, and they had what's her name play Queen Sheba, Halle Berry. That's what Queen Sheba is look like. I'm gonna show you. It's a true picture of Queen Sheba. Let me stop sharing on TikTok real quick, and we'll come back to that. Cause Queen Sheba didn't look like that. And this is Solomon. This is Sheba. Solomon was older. They're married, but if you look at the history, the marriage was because of the fact was that it was to help economic wise. But they had children because the tribe that Queen Sheba was from, the women had to fight the men. So think about it this way. Queen Sheba met with Solomon to have a conversation. He impregnated her when she went back and forth. And she felt kind of like, damn, you impregnated me? Like, from what people are saying, like she felt some type of way. But then again, she would never had her sons to grow up to who they are, to be rulers as well. But let's go back to Manna Musa. We'll do more of that tomorrow. Wait a minute, I got a question. Look it up. All right, so that was Samson. I get them mixed up because it's two S names. Forgive me. Now that's true also. Okay, yeah. All right. So, I was gonna say we were gonna talk about before we go. I forgot. Native tongue. But yeah, they have resources. Hold on, y'all. Here you go. They didn't want us doing this. Not this. Screaming, but wait. Yeah. Click another tongue.
Oh, peer report. Okay.
Jump into it. Sam, there's no jump into this stuff, you jump.
So when we used to go
jump into it.
trying to find it. Don't tell me they took it down. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to find it before we go. Here it is.
I never noticed how much I talk with my tongue until
No, because they don't even know what that is. But it was a video of somebody saying that you couldn't talk just with your tongue, and they used to cut your tongue out. Come on. I found it. I should have sent it to myself.
So yes, my daughter Lilac does have autism.
And how it used to be a language. Somebody had that. Here it is. Is it her?
Hello, my baby.
No.
This is so weird. I'm just trying to figure.
Ooh, girl, you woke, because I didn't think nobody was going to pick this up. But literally.
Okay. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, y'all see it. My bad.
Us being able to have our tongues at the top of the roof of our mouth allows us to connect to our third eye, which is why the vowels A-E-I-O-U does not touch the, ooh, girl, you woke, because I didn't think nobody was going to pick this up. But literally, us being able to have our tongues at the top of the roof of our mouth.
No, that wasn't the one.
What's your name?
This.
What's your name? What is your name?
Oh no,
Eh? What's your name? Shumu. Shum. What is your name? Ne. What is your name?
We used to do that.
Y'all, did you know that there's an African tribe that actually clicks their tongue when they speak their language? I hate when y'all are right, because Nelson Mandela is actually from this tribe, and they made us do it, and I could not do it to save the life of me. But you little shits that was making fun of us about Africans clicking their tongue while we speak our language.
No, I was told growing up that my auntie used to tell me, my grandparents too, they say, they couldn't do that. They tried to ban that over here. And that was their way of communicating. Y'all be surprised. Look it up. That was communication. And my grandparents said, no, baby, don't do that. He used to be like, why? He was like, just don't. Like, they used to say that all the time. No, don't do that. But that was communication. All right, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. I want to thank y'all for sitting in here with me. We'll be back tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be back with some more stuff tomorrow. Because I know for a fact that when the kids go back to school, and this is why a lot of people don't, when they go back to school, especially in certain states that, you know, then they ban history books and stuff, and your children will not know their history because they don't want them to know truth and they don't want them to know who they are. There are things on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook now that are teaching a lot of things, and just let them look at them. YouTube as well. So educate the children, because what they want them to do is to not be educated so they can reign the children how they want to reign them. Let's just put it that way. Oh, Pocahontas before I go. Hold on. We just have to say it for a little 15 minutes. Let me give y'all the truth of Pocahontas, then we're going to get the heck up out of here. Or I might do, you know what? We're going to do that with Sheba tomorrow. We're going to talk about Pocahontas and Sheba. We're going to do that. I'll tell you the real age. No, John and Pocahontas were not the same age. When y'all find out how old she was, and no, Pocahontas wasn't a grown woman, we'll talk about it. Oh, we'll talk about it. Oh. And the thought that came in my head, that's been in some folks' DNA. Listen, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So tomorrow I will do a breakdown. I'm going to do two of them. One is going to be Pocahontas and Sheba. And then we're going to get into, and Queen Nzinga. We're just going to do 3 and cut it down. But y'all will get the gist of it. And we're going to do another one because the history of certain Bibles and things of the Bible, just to help y'all on what to get. So, yeah, they're in correlation with some, we're going to compare and contrast. Compare and contrast. Hey. Yes. You can watch the replay on Blessed Chosen. Blessed Chosen, I'm sorry. But yeah, we're gonna do compare and contrast with the Bible and the history come tomorrow, because there's some things in there that are history, and there's some things how it's a compare and contrast, and how I feel like a lot of Christians kind of bypass that historic part. But I would love for y'all to come back. I might, you know what? Take that back. Am I doing anything else? Because my lit live Saturday is at 7:30 today. And we talking about Brene and the CPN girl. You know what? Take that back. If y'all would like me come back at 2:30, I will come back at 2:30. We'll do Pocahontas. God dang. Queen Sheba. Who I said? Pocahontas, Queen. Dang, my brain just went left real quick. And Queen Nzinga. We're going to do that. And then we'll do a Bible contrast, compare and contrast later. So I see you guys at 2:30. Yeah, I'm going to do my thumbnail now. So at 2:30, we're going to do that. We're going to have a conversation about that. Just get ready. I want to thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
It's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally.
Birds singing in the dead of night.